So I finished a book, now what? For me, that answer is whenever possible, put it down and come back to it later. First of all, because I much prefer writing first drafts than editing. Editing is a pain in my behind. But it's also for perspective. So I have gone through this incredible 3-month journey of writing this far too long novel, and through it all, I've had a lot of ideas kind of percolating in the back of my head. I'm letting those sit for a little bit until they ferment and give me an idea of where I want to go with this book. In the meantime, before I look at it again, I'm doing a palate cleanser by moving on to the next book. This isn't always possible with deadlines for publishing, but in this case, this book that I just wrote is not on contract yet, so it is possible. I'm moving on to something completely new rather than going back to edit something else because of schedules, and I want to release this particular novella later on this year. So I get to go back to the fun stuff. For me, the fun stuff is plotting. So excited. This is going to be a much tighter and stronger book from the very first draft, because I'll have puzzled out a lot of these plot elements in this outlining stage. This one is a little bit different than most because I've decided that my next novella is actually going to be based off of a book that I wrote several years ago. This was a book that I wrote and trunked because it never really came together for me. The premise of this book is that a female horse seller masquerading as a man sells her horses to this up-and-coming race horse owner. He's got a race course and is trying to run his own horses through it. So he needs some more horses because his have recently mysteriously died. So he hires her on not only to care for these horses and also to train them up. Throughout this book there was mistaken identity, and he didn't really realize that the horse trainer that he had hired was also the woman that he was falling in love with at night when she was actually in female garb. It had holes. Let's just say it had holes. I have reimagined it. It actually came about while I was reading a nonfiction book earlier this year, and I have an idea of where I want to take this while throwing away all of the elements that did not work, like the fact that he didn't realize that the person he had hired was also the woman he was falling in love with. It necessitates a complete rewrite because that was a core element to the original book. So I am first and foremost reading through what I had in that full-length novel and trying to pick out the elements that are most important. So, step one, let's read it.